I don't think I've ever had 2 Archetype rematches back to back ever since I started the series, where I had episodes 1 and 2 back to back just because of the sheer amount of cards I needed to cover. Yeah, that's what lack of uploading in the meantime can do sometimes. But anyway, we're not here to dabble in statistics, technically speaking. We're here to dabble into some new archetypal support in Yu-Gi-Oh! And we have a lot of interesting entries and a whole bunch of one-offs, if you could believe it. And we're even starting off with one archetype that only received 1 card worth of support. Those being Blue Eyes with 1 new card, Legend of Justice Kaiba Man, which only is a reference to the fact that the original Kaiba Man in the OCG is called Ally of Justice Kaiba Man. Oh boy, it just sends shivers down my spine just thinking about the potential word mishmashes and the colossal redundancy phrases we could have had throughout all of the Ally of Justice support. But anyway, back to this thing. I'm really mixed on this one. First of all, it's a card whose heart is clearly in the right place, but the arrogance of requiring you to run all 3 OG bricks is the biggest salt onto the wound we could have possibly gotten here, since the effect is actually good. Please, for the love of God, give us a damn replacement for the OG brick already. I mean, they'll probably do it by the time my tongue falls out from the amount of complaining I'm doing up until this point, so yeah. Alright, moving on from that shit show, we move on to something I am actually really glad they've done. I'm a massive fan of what they've done with this, and that is the new Lunalight support with several new cards. I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new cards. We have 2 main deck monsters, 2 fusion monsters, and a spell card added into the new arsenal. We start off with Lunalight Silverhound. This should honestly be standard in modern fusion decks, the amount of utility this thing can give you. And I think if Evoker was legal and was not limited to Earth monsters, this card would have made them reconsider a possible errata. Now for the other main deck monster, we have Lunalight Gold Leo, a decent Stratos for the deck, even though the low attack is a bit annoying, but at least it combos real nice with Tiger, so you don't need to run Zephyros as often. Definitely run one of these, or hell, run 3 of these, what am I saying? And Silverhound is also a 3-off staple, if I saw one, forgot to mention that. Our first fusion monster is Lunalight Perfume Dancer. I always like it when Konami realizes their own blunders, in this case not being able to search perfume because spaces are too powerful. On the other hand, the other effect is worthless against Link monsters, so we still get the last laugh, but even so, you should run at least 2 of these. And now we move on to their newest boss monster, that being Lunalight Liger Dancer. Yeah, with such a heavy investment, it better be this good. And nothing much else to say here, and since it's a boss monster done right, although from a biological standpoint, this should logically be a fusion of a Leo Dancer and a hypothetical Tiger Dancer if there was ever a Tiger Dancer release, because Ligers are a mixed breed of tigers and lions in real life, so kind of a missed opportunity. But then again, a fusion which requires 2 fusions as material is a bit annoying even for this deck, so yeah, I'm really glad they went this route, no matter the fact that this is even this itself is even a tough investment, so yeah. And now we move on to the final Lunalight card, which is Lunalight Masquerade. Everything is great with this one except the polymerization search, which they still do for some reason, despite having their own fusion card for quite a while, and I personally wouldn't run this at more than 1. And also, Lunalight Black Sheep exists if you really want to search that poly, so yeah. Next up, we have another one-off when it comes to archetypal support, the Gaia archetype, which only received the Xyz monster Gaia Stream the Graceful Force. It's straight up bad. A card like this is borderline unacceptable in 2025. Next up we have the Chemical archetype, which I believe is making their debut on this series in this episode, with the level 4 Light Water Dragon. Yeah, you know the deck is crap when a card gives you this much access to your monster lineup and it's still considered bad. I'm actually kind of impressed. Anyway, the cherry on top would have been if it also let you search Bonding H2O, but at that point it could have said that you tribute this, or banish this in this case, to special summon Water Dragon, ignoring its summoning condition. So yeah, you obviously run 3 if you wanna play or do anything with the chemical deck. And next up is a card which is both a chemical card and a Chthonian card. It's Infernal Punisher, and again, like I said, it's both a chemical and a Chthonian support card, and it somehow doesn't help either of them much, so run only if you really feel like it, since it's also semi-generic, I guess. Next up we have yet another one-off, this time being from another debuting archetype, the Koala archetype with Eucalyptus Mole. Wow, first card that makes koalas a proper archetype, and it's a plant monster for some reason. Somehow I'm getting Batteryman C vibes here, but that's besides the point. It's also semi-generic for all of you beast monster enthusiasts out there, so have at it if you really want to. Next up we have some new Archfiend support cards with a ritual monster and a ritual spell. The ritual monster in question being Archfiend Matador, GX anime classic if I dare call it that. And yeah, I can really hear the screams of anguish from Archfiend players already because of such a ridiculously strong search effect locked behind a ritual monster which you need to bring out properly. And also it's a warrior type monster for some indecipherable purposes. And the second effect is okay-ish, so run only if you really feel like it. And as for its ritual spell, Ritual of the Matador, it's a by the numbers ritual spell with just a slight smidgen of consistency boosting. So yeah, again, if you really want to, you can run one of each for flavor, I guess. Next up we have another, well, 2 one-offs in a row. The first one being the support card for the Macrocosmos / Helios support wave, that being Chaos Distill. It's a Macrocosmos which only affects your side of the field and even searches the aforementioned card, and the usefulness of this card is completely reliant on the deck you're splashing it into, so feel free to experiment with it. And yeah, that's it. I thought for sure we were getting Alchemy Beasts when this thing was revealed, but it turned out not to be the case. Well, we could still get them eventually, so yeah, there's that. And then we have another one-off, the new Flame Swordsman support card named Dark Flare Swordsman, a way overdue retrain of Dark Flare Knight. And yeah, something like this is exactly what this archetype needed, but the lack of targets for it with both of its effects hurts a bit at the moment, so we just need to hope to get some more quality support, and this card will get better with time. And then, thematically appropriately, we're going into some new Dark Magician support cards with 4 new support cards to their name. The first one being Dark Magician of Destruction, their new fusion monster, one of their 2 new fusion monsters. Simply put, it's another copy of Rod in your deck. And yeah, this deck's consistency has been bumped up to 11, especially considering the ridiculously easy alternative summoning condition, which is also semi-generic, mind you. So yeah, it's just a brutal monster all around the board. It's still in Dragoon, but yeah, it doesn't take it takes effort to top that. So yeah. Next up, their other fusion monster is Timaeus the United Magic Dragon, essentially a retrain and flat-out replacement of Amulet Dragon, who himself, in all honesty, wasn't worth running. The summoning condition isn't a problem thanks to Eye of Timaeus, but we have something else to aid us in this scope, and that is the retrain, the Gaze of Timaeus. And yeah, the very first retrain of a legendary dragon card, which is funnily enough retraining the card that needed retraining the least out of all of them. But hey, it's good for all the Dark Magician players, so what's worth complaining for you? it's redundant at this point. Anyway, you can even run both of them if you want, so feel free to experiment with the ratio, since the original is still has its qualities, so let's not kid ourselves. Then we have their final card, which is Dark Magic Amulet. An archetypal retrain of Spellbinding Circle is about the last thing we needed in this day and age, but due to its shutting down of additional copies of the cards it targets, it's a tolerable option to consider. Next up, we have a very huge chunk of cards, possibly the biggest chunk in this volume, that being the new support wave of Synchro Up Psychics. We start off with the level 2 Serene Psychic Girl. Tuners that special summon from the deck are slowly but surely becoming the norm, and I'm all in. The cost can be a bit steep, but most of the time it shouldn't be an issue, since this archetype is kind of banish focused as well, and also it's an E-Telly target, so yeah, you definitely want to run this thing. Next up we have Hushed Psychic Minister. This guy synergizes incredibly with Psychic Tracker and Willy. They're the other 3 psychic monsters which, and yeah, just to make this clear, this support wave is hell-bent on making level 9s and 11s very easy to summon, so yeah, this guy is no exception. And it's another E-Telly target, so you obviously run it. And speaking of E-Tellys, Mind Procedure is also an E-Telly target, which can also search it. This is how far we've come, folks. It's unreal. Run 2 or 3 of these. Then we have a Prototype Psychic Blaster, which is our last main deck monster for now. And unlike the previous cards, which are obviously made for the modern game, this one feels like it's from the same booster set from the start of the Synchro era, which was in 2010 or like... No, 2009, 2010, somewhere like that. Yeah, if this was 2010, I'd say definitely run 1. Then we have our first Synchro, Silent Psychic Magician. It's another fantastic synchro climbing tool, which is also semi-generic, so it's also worth experimenting with. Then we have their level 6 Serene Psychic Sorceress. And yeah, this card makes me think of an alternate universe where Infernities received 2 Infernity Archfiend level searchers in the same support wave. With 2 E-Telly searchers, I believe Synchro Up Psychics are on a good way to becoming the next tier 0 deck, and E-Telly might be returning to the limited list for a short while, or even maybe getting banned in some rare occasions if it enables too many FTKs or something like that. Anyway, next up we have another Synchro, which is kind of a retrain, Thought Cross Archfiend, our semi-retrain of the Thought Ruler Archfiend, the level 8 classic. And unlike the original, this one couldn't be further from the status of a staple, because for all intents and purposes it's a way worse Crystal Wing. Next up we have a retrain of Hyper Psychic Blaster in the form of Psychic Blaster Mark II. The first effect is really powerful considering it works on both fields and is completely generic, but the rest of it is really lacking. Run 1 at most. Next up we have their 2 new fusion monsters, the first one being Axon Kicker Oracle. This is not something you run in your main deck, but it is a great side deck card, so run a copy if you really feel like it. The other fusion is Absolute Axon Kicker, and it's a truly sublime boss monster, with the only negative nitpick being that it can't float into itself, which would have been hilarious. This one is mained a bit more than the previous card, but synchros are still your main bread and butter when it comes to this deck. Next up we have the new Teleport support card, the third one in general, that being Parallel Teleport. It can be really useful like the original E-Telly, but the burn effect could potentially be a bit too devastating, so run 1 at most. And the other card, which is also a teleport card, is their fusion card, Teleport Fusion. Is their brand new spanking fusion card, which can get you to our new fusions very quickly. And they didn't have any fusion cards previously, since they were almost always using Miracle Synchro Fusion in the past to go into their fusions. As little of them as they ran, but never mind. Anyway, it's a pretty solid support wave. And we are continuing on from that onto another one-off with another debuting archetype on the series, the Cyber Girls with the quick play spell Prima Light. It's about what you would expect from a hyper-specific anime card in 2025. It's way more generic and has another effect, making it overall synergize with both Cyber Girls and Cyber Angels, and seeing how it's very, very generic, it even synergizes with Six Samurais and Gokis. And speaking of Gokis, they are our next batch of cards which received some new support. And what hell of a support it is. It's phenomenal. I can't even put it into words. Our first and only main deck monster is Goki Mashin Suprex, a retrain of course of Goki Suprex, and a more than worthy upgrade of the original with a very unique summon restrictions, which I honestly wish more decks would utilize. Goki the Tyrant Ogre is our first and only fusion monster, and it's pure chaos, and it's in a very good way. With how consistent Gokis can be, this might as well be a Black Rose Dragon. Run this guy 24/7. Goki Dragon Ogre is their first synchro monster, and this one is tricky since Mashin Suprex is so far the only tuner in the deck, and it's a level 4. That means you would need to have a level 2 or 2 level 1s to summon this guy. And it's at least generic, so it has a great effect, so it's worth running at least because of that. Then we have their new Link monster, the Link 2 Goki Chic Ogre. Man, this guy was almost a Link 2 pre-errata Firewall Dragon, and yeah, absolutely terrifying. Absolutely run 2 or 3 of these. Well, more 2 than 3, but you get me. Their last card is Goki Fighting Spirit, a continuous spell. And now I would call this card pretty meh, but if it wasn't for the fact that it also works with Dino Wrestlers and G-Golems for some reason, like the rest of the support wave has been alluding to, which is something I haven't pointed out yet, which gives you some extra options, so I would guess run by preference. Next up is technically another one-off, but seeing how it's a retrain of an existing card, will be including that card as well. And that card that got retrained is Link Slayer, an early Link era extender with some decent utility, but that's about it. And the reason why we're actually here is its retrain Link Slayer Ad Ignister, the new card from the Ad Ignister archetype. I always have a soft spot for monsters that could be used as extra deck material from the hand, and this one does its job along with being a great reference to the OG Link Slayer. Now we move on to our second biggest bunch of cards in this episode, that being the new DD support wave. We start off with DD Land Soldier, which is a level 2 Lamia with a slight hint of level modulation, which of course is a really good effect. Run any number of these personally. Then we have DD Defense Soldier, and while it does have 2 okay effects, this is truly a prime definition of a one-off because of being a tad too specific for most situations. Now we move on to their final main deck monster, which is DDD the Zero Demise King Zero Machinex, or Machinex I guess. Yeah, it's supposed to be Machinex. This card is brilliant in 2 ways. First off, it's a brilliant visual reference to a certain Arc 5 character. And the other is that its effect works even during the damage step, which is a miracle when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh! Effects. Other than that, it's a decent array of effects, and the Pendulum effect is especially really powerful, so definitely run a couple of these. Then we have our first extra deck monster, which is the level 6 Synchro DDD Founder King Clovis. Another fantastic addition to the growing family of typical DD extra deck extenders, and nothing much else to say here. Then we have the Xyz DDD Wisdom King Solomon. I believe this is the first card that can search any DD card, and that is obviously good. The second effect can be a decent way to finish off limping opponents, but obviously the star of the show is the previous effect, I mean the first effect I should say. Then we have their new Link 3 monster, DDD Sky King Zeus Ragnarok. I keep loving each name these guys are given, they're just so good. And as far as DD Link monsters go, this guy is the second ever to exist, so it's not like it's competing with something really devastating or good. But it's still worth running because of the arrows, if anything, because this is a heavy pendulum deck and you pretty much need the arrows for only that. So yeah, it would be even better if we had Electromite, but hey, maybe one day we'll get him back and this guy will become even more splashable. And then we have our final monster for today's support wave, for DDs, that is. That being DDDD Great Dimension King Arc Crisis. Jesus, I love that name and that artwork. Man, this support wave is something else. I'm at a loss for words. Anyway, this is a DD equivalent to Zark, if it wasn't obvious enough already with its summoning condition and everything. And besides being another phenomenal reference, it's also a phenomenal card. Run this guy 24/7 and yeah, you'll be sure to win a lot of games with this guy. Then we have our only spell card for this support wave with DDs, that being Dark Contract with the Zero King. This and Dark Contract with the Gate are quintessential contracts anyone should sign if aiming to play in the DD big leagues, so definitely run 2 of these. And then we have Dark Contract with a Different Dimension. I get the idea, but it's a bit slow and not impactful enough to warrant running it, so run by preference, or sided by preference I should be saying earlier. And just like with Adignisters, next up we have sorry, another one-off when it comes to a new support card, but it's also a 2-off because it's a retrain. The card retrained in question is Kage to Kage. It's a fantastic extender that still sees play a decade later due to an influx of really good reptile support over the past few years. But of course he received a retrain and that's why we're here, and that retrain is Onoma to Kage. And as you could have probably guessed from the name, this is a retrain. That ties it to the Onomatopia archetype. At the cost of being locked into said archetype and being searchable by the archetype, the sole benefit you get is being able to summon it from the graveyard with its effect, and some subpar Xyz recursion. Run by preference, personally. Next up we have something truly monumental. We have some new hero support cards, but for the first time in a very long time, 20 plus years I would say, even a bit less than that actually, we get new masked heroes, which are main deck monsters. It's truly a time to be alive. The first one being Masked Hero Dusk Crow. It's not bad, but the problem lies again in the fact that he, along one other new support card, are Masked Hero main deck monsters, so he'll get better as time passes. The best he can do now is recycle some used up extra deck monsters, which was probably the main draw at this point. Next up we have Masked Hero Furnace, the only other so far Masked Hero main deck monster. And this one is essentially a generic Mask Change Searcher, which are surprisingly rare. And we didn't have those actually at this point, so there's also that, along with an array of effects which are more for its hero family than generic use. So we have that. Definitely worth running in most hero decks, focusing on masked heroes of course, which are most of the competitive ones, and even some generic applications can be reached with this guy, so yeah, this guy's good. Then we have the retrain of Elemental Hero Thunder Giant, Elemental Hero Thunder Giant Voltic Thunder. A very welcome retrain of the original, functioning like a Pancratops on steroids in a sense. And the second effect will literally never go off because, like I said, time and time again, you won't be running normal monsters in this deck. And the other and final card of the monster variety in this support wave for heroes is Masked Hero Atomic, a fire hero. And yeah, it definitely took more than a decade, but we finally have a legit fire target to go into with Mask Change. And yeah, definitely worth running. I'm not gonna repeat myself here, it's a really good card. Then we have the 2 trap cards, which, oh boy. Soul Union is our first one, and yeah, it's very obvious that this clunky piece of support is an adaptation of a near 20-year-old anime card. Feel free to skip it. Then we have the last card, which is Heroes Rule 1-5 Freedoms. Same thing as the last card, although this one has some potentially niche uses, at least due to it being a graveyard dump, or no, graveyard banish I should say. Yeah, again, run by preference, but you're probably going to skip it most of the time because it's just not good most of the time. And then next up we have another one-off. We actually have, yeah, all of these, so the rest of the 5 cards are all one-offs. Yeah, I don't think I've ever had something like this happen before. Anyway, our first one is another debuting archetype, the Sky Blaster archetype with Valen the Psychic Sky Blaster. For some reason it feels like they didn't even try to make this thing live up to the legacy of its rank 4 counterpart, which is super sad to say. Moving along, next up we have Shateki, which is the new addition to the Token Celebration archetype, and it, like all cards in this series, it's beyond gimmicky, and literally the only deck that can make some semblance of use of this thing are Predaplans, and that's about it. Then we have the new Magnet Warrior support card with Conduction Warrior Linear Magnum. Yeah, Magnet Warrior, that doesn't even belong to the Magnet Warriors in question, as this is a part of a whole separate line of Magnet Warriors from GX. Anyway, even though it's not a part of the same Magnet Warrior archetype, it really feels like a way easier to summon and more powerful Valkyrion, so I'm guessing that the other cards from this series this guy comes from will also get merged into one once they're released. We'll see, but if this guy is anything to go by, the others should be really good as well. Then we have Spirit Hunter. Whoever made this really didn't take the banning of Union Carrier and Summon Sorceress well. The latter even received an errata and is very likely getting unbanned, so there's absolutely no need to run this gimmicky piece of crap. It also doesn't synergize with the archetype. Oh, by the way, this is a Crystal Beast support card, if you couldn't tell from the artwork. Yeah, it's mostly generic, but by the artwork and how it functions, it really screams Crystal Beast support. Yeah, you don't need this. And our final card for today's video is the new Armed Dragon support card, Drill Armed Dragon. Where do I even begin? Someone was putting it in legitimate effort to make this card this horrendous and unplayable. I frankly don't know what's worse, the double discard for a 300 attack boost, or the insanely out the ass cost for a basic search effect. Yeah, this is a hard pass. And just like that, we're done with this volume, and yeah, these final few cards were just straight up awful travesties of mankind. I just don't know where to begin. But there were some very promising cards. I am very pleased with the Lunalight support. I like the new Masked Hero Fire Monster. The Gokis are pretty very good. Synchro Psychics are just badass in all the right ways. What else? The Dark Magician stuff is looking promising somewhat. And yeah, the DD stuff is also phenomenal. It's just so many good things, and also just as many bad things, as it tends to be the tradition in this line of work and in this series. And I would bid you adieu in this video until the next one, whatever that might be. I might be teasing a new Let's Play. Well, not teasing, starting. I'm teasing now. I might be starting a new Let's Play sometime in December or October, somewhere around that. Which of course doesn't have anything to do with the celebration of my 10th anniversary, which will be coming up in December of this year, where I definitely will be having a brand new Let's Play, along with some other things. I will not say anything more than that. You've heard enough already, so yeah. I probably shouldn't have said that for the celebration thing, but sometimes I just can't help myself. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching this video. Have yourselves a great day, and I will see you all next time.